Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1229. Happy Thursday. This week's gone really fast. I just realized it's like, holy shit, it's Thursday already. I don't have anything going on this weekend, which is a nice change of pace. So shipping and listing and shipping. And maybe I'll get the old e-bike out. The shitty thing about I found the key to the battery. It's fully charged. But I've got to get accessories because my cell phone holder broke in the move and my rear view mirror broke in the move. So I've got to get accessories for it. It's almost like, God, it's almost August. Like maybe I should just, like at this point, I already feel like summer's over. Like August is less than a week away. August. I know summer just started, but it's like summer's like May to August. I feel like June and July is, I mean, I live in Wisconsin, so June and July is summer. And, but here we are. Although it's so much different though, working from home and for yourself. Like there's not really those, I guess, and I don't have kids. So it's like, there's no back to school. Although if you work from home and you have kids, back to school's like, that is your summer, right? That's gotta be your summer right there. Send the kids back to school. Got the day to myself. My garden seems to be doing a little better. I'm trying to get myself in the mindset. While it's almost August, this is typically the time my vegetables start producing. And I did pull a couple of the I don't think they're Roma tomatoes, but they're the smaller tomatoes, and I just clipped off the vine, and they ripened off the vine, and I think I'll be able to dig into those tomatoes either today or tomorrow because they're starting to be nice and red. And there's probably some other there's probably one other vine I can clip, get those vine ripe off the vine. Looks like my cherry tomatoes are starting to pop a little bit more. I saw some cucumbers, and hopefully those will just be popping right off. So it's Thursday. I didn't have anything to talk about today, and then I'm like, oh wait, Brian wanted to know about tips for buying bulk. So we're going to talk about that. Hey, if you're in Cleveland, hopefully you had a good opening day at the National. I was, here's the thing. Obviously, I'm not in Cleveland. I'm not at the National. I don't have FOMO. This is the first time I haven't had FOMO for missing the National. I don't think I had FOMO in Atlantic City. I didn't go to the Atlantic City National in what year was that? 22. And I didn't really have FOMO for missing the Atlantic City National. Now, the last time the National was in Cleveland, that was the first time. I had never been to the National in would have been 2018. I think it was in Cleveland the last time. And that's when I'm like, I need to go to the National. But also 2018 was like when I would say that was the turning point for me really getting into the hop. Like 2000, and I talked about this the other day, 2012 was that's when I returned to the hobby essentially after, and I bounced in and out throughout the years. I probably never had more than a year where I didn't buy a card or a pack or anything like that. But I certainly wasn't on social media with card stuff. I wasn't posting in forums on a regular basis. So 2012 was my return, but it was pretty casual, especially 12, 13, 14 was super casual. 2014, that's when I took the next step, and that's when I joined some Facebook groups in the hobby. I started buying small collections and lots off Craigslist. And then by 2018, that's when it was like full bore, where I was really ramping up my eBay store. I had started the 1 Million Cubs project. I was on the Blowout forums every day. I discovered hobby Twitter in late 2017. So I would say 2018, that was kind of the breaking point where it was like 100% in. And so that national, I'm following along in July of 2018. I'm like, I want to go to the national. Of course, it was in Chicago in 2019, my first national. And it was like, wow, this is awesome. Not so, I don't feel it's so awesome that I have to like travel to it. I think I'm just resigned to the fact when it's in Chicago, I'll go to the national. If it's elsewhere, I probably won't go. I'm not in that deep. Where for others now, it's kind of like when it comes to spring training. Now, I don't plan on missing another spring training. That's going to be like my annual pilgrimage, Cubs convention. And I understand, like some people, that's how some people are with the national. They have dinners with friends and get-togethers and all that. When I go to the net, like I really don't do anything except for look at baseball cards. That's why like I don't understand, and everybody's different. And I'm sure some people look at me and they're like, how can you just go to the national and just buy cards all day and that's all you do? Which is kind of all I do. Now I've done dinners in the past. We had our Hobby Evolution get together last year on Saturday night at the national down the street at was it Shoeless Joe's? I think we went to. But the national's not one of those things where it's like if I miss it, I miss it. Now, when it's in Chicago, it's just down the road. It's literally right on the dot, 2 hours from my driveway to the exit in Rosemont. It's 2 hours. So the next 3 years, fortunately, the national will be in Rosemont. So I plan on being there the next 3 years. And Steve, I plan on seeing you every March out at spring training. And in fact, I was bebopping around the Marriott website looking to book for next year. And there's some real, I should probably book it now because it's like how much, not half. It wasn't half the price, but it was significantly lower than what I've paid the last few years for the hotel just across and for a suite. Because it was like membership discounts, and I want to stay. I need to stay like one more night to get like the next level. So it's like, what do I have coming up that I can stay at a Marriott property? And I may stay this August 24th is the next Madison Card Show. I'm thinking about getting a hotel room the night before. Just to alleviate, waking up at 4 a.m. and, hauling all of my shit. So, and I'm sure they'll give me a little cut on the rate. So, get that extra night. And then I move up a level in the Marriott Club, which I'm probably doesn't get me much. But hey, any little bit counts, I guess. What else is going on? Did a lot of shipping yesterday. Did some listing. I listed some wrestling cards. Some of the bronze parallels from 2018 Topps WWE. So those are in my eBay store. Check those out. 99centcards.com. Save 25% off when you buy 7 or more at checkout. I took Cooter's advice and I listed. Instead of just doing 1,000 card refractor lot, which is basically like a reseller lot. He's like, what about teams? And I'm at the point for baseball where I have plenty. So I listed for Cooter, the Cooter special, I listed a Giants lot, and that was purchased. So I had somebody reach out to me about another team. So I've got the 50 cards. So I'll get those listed today. And then I'm going to go. So if anybody has any, I'm going to price 50 card lots at $28. And of course, buy 7 or more items in my store, you'll get 25% off. So you can take 25% off that price. Or if you buy 3 or more items, if you buy 3 to 6 items, if you can't find 7, but you can find 3, you'll get 15% off. So take that into consideration as well. So then I'm gonna start with Yankees, Red Sox. We'll do some of those. If anybody has, like, if you want a certain team, I'm gonna do this on eBay. I don't do deals off eBay, just for a bookkeeping standpoint and for my own sanity. Because I have so many transactions through eBay. When I start getting other transactions, it's really difficult for me to keep track of things. That's just the way my mind works, and it's hard. So if you have any requests, you can either drop them in the chat or shoot me a DM, and I'll start pulling some of those teams for you. As far as football and basketball, obviously there's not too many refractors when it comes to Panini products, but they're silver prisms and color. So if you do have a football team or basketball, I guess I might be able to put together basketball. Football, probably for sure, a mix of refractors and silver prisms in various colors. I can do that as well. So football or baseball, I can get those. I did an ad last night, and I've played around with this in the past, where it is direct marketing, target marketing. Where are most of the people? Where are a lot of buyers? Where are a lot of collectors, business owners? Where are they at this week? They are all in one confined place in Cleveland, Ohio. So the Madison Card Show has grown to 200 tables. It's not confirmed yet, but I made the decision. I've had a couple Pokemon people reach out. They want to be back in the Pokemon room. So we're going to run back the TCG only room. We're going to do 200 tables again, August 24th. Madison Card Show, Sheraton Hotel, John Dolan Drive. Let's get the word out. So I put together a little video. Now my video making skills are subpar. Maybe when I finally hire that assistant, they've got to have video editing skills as well. So I put an ad on Facebook, put a post on the Madison Card Show Facebook page, boosted that as an ad for the next 3 days, but I only targeted a 6-mile radius around one IX Center Drive in Cleveland, Ohio. So I want to really penetrate those people when they're on Instagram and when they're on Facebook to see the 200 table Madison Card Show coming up Saturday, August 24th. September 28th, if you can't make August, September 28th is the next date, and then October through December, hopefully I can actually get those dates booked here soon, because fourth quarter is their slow time when it comes to those rooms. Summer is the big time because they do weddings and various summertime events. So usually I get my choice for October through December, and usually they let me book those a little earlier than they do quarters 1 through 3. So hopefully I can get those locked in as well. So August 24th, it'll be 3 rooms for sure, and most likely a 4th room. I'm just waiting on confirmation to make sure I can book that Badger State room for the TCG only room. September 28th, I realized I don't have a contract for the State Street Ballroom, so I want to make sure I can get that for September 28th. So that is TBA as well. What else is going on? I think that's about it. Yeah. Happy Thursday. Let's go to the chat. George in the house. He says it's hot as F in South Korea. It's hot as an F-bomb in South Korea. I think we're supposed to get a heat wave here this week. It's comfortable. It's pretty humid, but it's like 80 degrees, so it's a comfortable humid. I know a lot of people don't like humidity. I love it, but I think I saw somewhere where we've got a heat wave coming in. Today, 79 is our high today. Not to rub it in, George. 56 overnight low, 81 tomorrow, 84, 82. Looks like late next week, we're supposed to get that heat wave. Upper 80s on Wednesday and then low 90s going into next weekend, which, we're going into August. I'm like, wait, isn't that? I almost thought it was Labor Day. I'm like, oh, wait, I'm a month ahead. Lewis, good morning. Brian Wolf's in the house. What's happening? Steve is here. Good morning. Todd, what's going on? Good morning. Cooter's in the house, wearing uncomfortable shoes and refusing to hydrate today since I am not at the Nationals. Cooter, he's bucking the trend. If you're in Cleveland, make sure you've got those comfortable shoes on and stay hydrated. Drink water. Peter's in the house. Really hope that your trash and recycling day yesterday was all you wanted it to be. It wasn't more. I was able to fill up the trash can and the recycle bin. It always feels good to like utilize all of the trash can space and the recycling. We have no issues filling the recycling bin. In fact, I have cardboard like sitting, waiting to be recycled because we go through it. And oftentimes we have to take cardboard to my wife's office and they have big dumpsters and big recycling dumpsters where you can take it because we get too much cardboard. I guess that's when you sell baseball cards, there's a lot of cardboard that comes with the territory. And my wife orders from Amazon on a daily basis. And there's a lot of cardboard that comes with that. I had a lot more cardboard this time because of all the new signs that I had ordered. So a lot of cardboard came with that. Steve says Memorial Day to back to school date is what I consider summer. Same here. I don't have kids. I'm not a teacher. I'm not in school, but I think it's so ingrained into our lives from the time we were old enough to go to school. We go to school, we go to high school, we go to college. That's like 20 some years of your life. Probably solid 20 years of schooling, I guess. 20 years of schooling. And it's like so ingrained into our, like, this is summer. June and July is summer. That it just kind of pours into our future lives. Whether we have kids or not, whether we go to school or not, teach or not, whatever. Peter says, did you spray paint your white K-Swiss hat, white Swiss hat to black to prevent the glare? No, I actually bought two of these hats, one black, one white. This was the first one I bought. And I'm like, because I like black hats. I also like white hats. And so I saw the white hat, same, but the white hat, I'm like, I like that one even better, but I already have the black one. I almost didn't buy it. And my wife's like, well, if you like it, buy it. And I'm like, I do like it. And I'll probably regret not buying it if I don't. So I bought it. But the white hat, as Peter says, it glares during my videos. So I'll wear the black hat today. I need a haircut. The reason I'm wearing a hat is because I need a haircut, but I'm in no hurry. Maybe next week. Matty Ice says, good morning. Sad to not see you at the National. Driving all day today to get to Cleveland tonight. Enjoy the National. Have safe travels. Kyle says, good morning. I like buying bulk. There you go. Philly Joe's in the house. Good morning. Value Box Digger says, today I won't put on 30,000 steps and spend 20K because I'm skipping the Nationals. And I'm okay with that. I can spend travel money on cards here. And that's kind of my thoughts is, especially that, like, I think the reason I don't feel FOMO is because I've bought so much, like I'm drowning in inventory. So I don't feel bad. I know there's still a lot of great deals to be had. You can buy some awesome stuff at great prices. But I've got plenty. So I'm not missing. I think what I'm missing is just like the experience of it all, because it is something like if you are into cards and you've never been, I think you need to go just one time, experience it. I understand some people don't like crowds. It's crowded. But I think everybody that is a collector should experience the National at least one time and make that decision whether you like it or not. Don't go on a Saturday though, or really a Friday. Wednesday night, and if it's your first time and you've made that decision as a first timer and you're going for multiple days, I definitely recommend going Wednesday. Get the VIP going at 3:00 or whenever the doors open on that first day. But if you just want to go for like a day, I would say Thursday is probably the best day, and then maybe Friday. Thursday and then Friday. I would avoid Saturday. In fact, Saturdays are typically the only day when I go. I'm there I'm there Wednesday at check-in. I'm at check-in at as soon as you can. I leave early Wednesday morning. It's only a 2-hour drive. Go straight to the parking garage, go get checked in or get in line to get checked in. Usually that early in the morning, it's pretty short. And then go into the show. I'm at the show until they start shooing you out. Thursday, all day. Friday, all day. Saturday, that's the day where it's like, it's too crowded. Last year, actually Saturday was probably one of the cooler days in Chicago. They had the air breakdown. Great time when it's like 100 degrees outside. So Saturday's typically the day where I cut out a little early, or I'll go have lunch with friends across the street. Saturday's the day that I do that because it's just insanely busy on Saturday. And then Sunday, I'm there all day, and here's the thing. I haven't found great deals on Sunday. Now, I did buy a table out last year. And it was like an okay. It wasn't like it's hard to get steals but it was a great deal. I think it was a great deal. 2 year, it was coming off COVID. It would have been 2021 coming off COVID. There was a dealer in the back corner in Rosemont, and 25-cent boxes, 50-cent boxes, all of that, dime boxes. And his quarter boxes were top loaded, and he didn't have time. And I think multiple people mentioned, because this was at the time, July 2021, top loaders were hard to come by, and they were super expensive, relatively speaking. And he actually raised in the past, it was like, can't remember what it would. Basically, he cut prices in half. So it was like 2 for a quarter in the past, something to that effect. So on the last day, he didn't cut prices. He raised prices. The last day, it was 3 for $1. Instead of a quarter each, it was 3 for $1. And I think the reason why was because of the top loads, the top loaders. And I think at that time, ComC was buying top loaders used top loaders for 10 cents each. Used top loaders for 10 cents each. Yikes. Steve says, you're singing music to my ears. Yes. Mr. Archer, good morning. Value Box Digger says, you as a single man business to go to nationals means lower income daily while you're out spending. Doesn't seem to make sense. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense normally. This year, for me, it doesn't make sense because I was away for 2 weeks. So adding another week, being out for 3 weeks of a month is not wise. Any other time, if I didn't spend 2 weeks in Europe, I would have been in Cleveland, no doubt about it, because it is well worth it for many reasons. Networking is number one, which is what we're going to talk about today, buying bulk. Networking at the National is the best place if you're selling cards, running card shows. The National is where to be. Buying inventory. I mean, you can get amazing deals at the National. I was watching the Dollar Box live last night. He had gone through, he was buying some non-sports, and he bought some like Superman promos that sell for $7 to $10 each, and he paid, I think, 50 cents each for them, and he got like 50 of them. So you can get those types of deals. You can get $10 cards for 50 cents, $1. If you know where to look and you get there early, I mean, even by Saturday, Sunday, you can still find some steals. So it makes a lot of sense. In fact, it makes more sense to go to the National than to go to larger regional shows on a regular basis. Victor, good morning. Ice cold Cubs ready to sell. Which dates for spring training? So I was eyeing. So I like the middle to the end of spring training. Let's just look up 2025 calendar. And I always go like Tuesday to Wednesday because those are typically the cheapest flight dates. So I'm looking at March 11th through the 19th is kind of what I've circled. I haven't looked at, let's see what Madison to Phoenix flights are right now. Madison to Phoenix, we're going to go March 11th through the 19th. We want nonstops. Oh baby, we've got, okay, we do have the morning flights a little more, but for an extra $50, I am definitely down to pay an extra $50 to have an entire day. Because the flight gets there 9:39 in the morning. I can go out and watch minor league stuff. If there's a game on March 11th, I can go to a game. As opposed to getting there at 7:30 at night, I'm basically going straight to the hotel and I lose an entire day. So right now, price is $310 for the afternoon flight. For the evening flight, $357 for the morning flight. I would totally do the morning flight for an extra $50, 100%. So that's March 11th through the 19th. Tentatively, those are the dates that I'm looking at. Harlan, what's going on? Good morning. Nick is here. Examine Baseball says, I have a friend that does ghost bookings where he books a cheap hotel in their chain, usually finds a promo rate and doesn't stay to get status levels. Ooh, that's I like that. I may look into that. Christian, good morning. Getting ready to head over to the Natty. Have fun. Enjoy the day. George says, Bo has said it. He wants to penetrate the people at the National, but only if they wear comfortable shoes. Wear those New Balance. Sheen is in the house. He's getting ready to go bargain box hunting. May the bargain box gods grant you excellent deals today. Value Box Digger says you don't have FOMO because in 2019, you didn't have a 200 table monthly show you ran. You didn't have 50 shows yearly within a 2-hour drive of you. It was different before the past 2 years. I don't know if that really has anything to, I don't know. Because the National isn't a card show. It's an event. I don't think having all of these shows doesn't really affect my thoughts on the National. And I think you can also lump the Dallas card show, the Burbank show. Those aren't just card shows. Those are like, I mean, Burbank's on my bucket list. Dallas, I'm going to go later this year to a Dallas card show. Madison card show, the Phoenix card show, which is usually the around the time that I'm at spring training, a big 400 tables. I skipped it. I'm out there for baseball. It's just a card show. It's not like if it was a Burbank, If it was a national, if it was a Dallas card show, then yes, I would have skipped some baseball to go to the show, but it's just a big card show. And a card show is a card show, with the exception of a few, like Burbank, like Dallas, like the National. And I should say like the Madison card show, but the Madison card show is just another card show. It just has a lot of tables. Brian's in the house. Good morning. Value Box Digger says he leaves early Wednesday when he doesn't have a dead key fob. Ooh, that was Cubs convention. National, I made it without issue. Cubs convention, though, I had the dead key fob and had to rent a car. Yeah, and my wife had to take me to the rental car station. I had to, God, I spent like $250 just to rent a car to drive an hour to the train station. But it was cheaper than driving it all the way into Chicago and paying $75 a night for parking. Actually, $75, $150, $225 plus gas and tolls. Yeah, it would have been more to drive all the way down. Cooter says, I have heard if you go to the show at closing on Sunday, you can pick up $2 million of cards for nothing. Too soon. Speaking of that, so that's a Dallas card show theft reference. Speaking of that, I've seen and heard, I've read tweets and people on YouTube have mentioned, like, how come we haven't heard about this? Well, it's only been like 2 weeks, first of all. It's an active investigation. In active investigations, you don't get updates every day on the course of the investigation. So the reason we haven't heard anything is because it's still a work in progress. It wouldn't surprise me if they know who it is. They're just gathering the evidence necessary to make arrests. Take a look at, in just for example, in a similar context, look at the Strongsville theft. That was like, duh. That was a duh. That was like under your nose. It was like the microphone right underneath my nose. And how long did it take for them to make an arrest in that case? It was a couple months. Was it a couple months? And that was like, no shit. Of course it was an employee at the hotel. So this is a little more difficult where it's like, I mean, they've got great video of the guys. Now it's just, and you know damn well people have recognized and turned these guys in like, oh, I've seen this guy at in today's social media. So it wouldn't surprise me if they already know who or at least the main guy was, and now they're just trying to put together who else was involved because they want to build a case. You build a case to prosecute, and you know, it's not just we found the guy, because if you do it all willy-nilly, like, oh, it's that guy. Well, did you follow protocol? And oh shit, we didn't cross our I's and cross our T's and dot our I's. So not only do you have to make the arrest, you have to make the arrest and make it to where it's a solid case against that person. Trial. And you got to think of, okay, if this goes to trial, we got to make sure all of the evidence was gathered legally, processed, all of that. So that's why you haven't heard anything about the Dallas card show theft. They're making sure they have a lockdown solid case to not only make an arrest, but a prosecution. Value Box Digger says, why have you not been to Dallas yet? Timing has just not worked out, but this is the year. So I will be in Dallas for their, I think it's, what's the Dallas card? October 31st to November 2nd, something like that. Dallas Card Show 2024. Dallas Card Show 2024 schedule. October 31st to November 3rd, I will be in Dallas. I will be there. And so will Cooter. Let's see. Where are we at? Brian's in the house. Good morning. Jody is here. What's happening? So Brian had asked, I think, yeah, Brian's in the chat. Brian had wanted some tips on the best ways to bulk collect or can say bulk buy. So we'll talk about that, because there are a lot of, when I was doing the 1 million Cubs project, and this is from a collecting standpoint, which there's a lot of the same tips can be said for bulk collecting and then bulk buying for reselling purposes. A lot of the same tips and tricks can be applied to both collecting and selling. When I was collecting 1 million Cubs and I decided to go after 1 million Cubs cards, first off, you have to realize, if you set a goal like that, you have to realize space and money are the two biggest constraints to bulk collecting, especially 1 million cards. And how do you acquire those cards? Collecting 1 million cards. Why did I do it? Well, I've got 1 million cards I don't want. I'm going to trade them for 1 million cards I do want. So I had the inventory to trade, but I also had to realize there's costs. It's not just like, I'm not trading with my neighbor. Frank didn't have like 10,000 Cubs cards in his basement. I wish he did. We would have been better. We would have been better friends if Frank had 10,000 Cubs cards in his basement. He didn't. So you have to do a lot of through the mail trading, and through the mail trading costs money in postage. And am I going to do a bunch of 50 card trades for 88 Topps Cubs? I started to, and realized I'm paying $4 to get 30 or 40 91 Fleer. This is not a good way to do this. And that's kind of the reason I started scaling up my eBay store. Was I'm spending thousands and thousands of dollars this year on, this would have been 2018, on postage, just postage. Yeah, I've got the inventory, but now I need the money for all this postage. Well, I'll sell non-Cubs cards. I'll sell the good stuff, trade the crappy stuff. And so that's kind of how you build it up. And, you have to realize before going into one of these ventures, space and money. Talked about the money. Even if you're into trading, you've got to have money for postage, because a lot of your trades are going to come through the mail. And space. Now, I knew how much space 1 million cards took up, because I had 1 million cards to begin with, and I just wanted to turn those 1 million cards into 1 million Cubs cards. So I think people don't realize they have a closet with a few boxes and like, oh yeah, I've got 1 million cards in my closet. And I'm looking, I'm like, there's 3 4-row boxes in here. You've got like 15,000 cards. Well, it seems like 1 million. The million term is thrown around so loosely that I think we fail to remember what 1 million actually is. So I think those are two things you need to realize when you set out to either acquire, or whether it's for reselling or for just collecting. Space and money are two big obstacles for people attempting to do something like that. Let's go to the chat real quick and ignore Low Roller Scratcher. Value Box Digger says, speaking of spending on postage, please share someday as your Hobby Evolution title. I spent X on postage in 2024. Please share someday. That's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. That's a good clickbaity title. You got to be at around 7K so far. I think it's pretty easy to go into, let's see, reports. Usually I only remember where to find this in September when I'm running numbers for taxes. Let's see, store performance sales. So this would be eBay. And most of the postage, I've probably spent a few $100s on doing some of my YouTube sales. Wait, if I do this year, generate the report. And I think should be under selling costs. Shipping label. So on eBay alone, I've spent nearly $10,000 in postage. year to date, just under 10,000. And tack on a few hundred. I've shipped how many flat rate boxes? Probably a good 30 or 40 flat rate boxes at $15 a pop. So what's that? Just say 40, just to take into consideration some of the other sales. And I think that's probably all the shipping. So that's 600. So yeah, right around 10,000 so far year to date on shipping. Tyler says, how do you sell internationally when shipping is so much? I really don't. I do eBay's global shipping, which I know is higher priced for buyers, and it just doesn't concern me. I know I could probably make more sales if I didn't do eBay global shipping, but it's just not something that I'm looking into. But I still make some sales internationally, and you can tell because they don't go to Erlanger anymore. Now they go to Glendale Heights, I think, Illinois, I think it's Glendale Heights. Goes to the Chicago area for international through eBay. So, because I get those every once in a while, it's not very common, but I'd say a few a week go to that address, which I know it's going to somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere not in the USA. International shipping program. Yeah, I think I think they changed it. I don't think it's like global shipping. I think it is international shipping program, or I think they changed the name. Let's see. Cooter says it takes 12 days for 1 million seconds to pass, 35 years for 1 billion to pass, and 35,000 years for 1 trillion. Now put that in context of the national debt. We are screwed. Yes. What is the national? It's got to be like over 25 trillion now, right? It's probably closer to $30 trillion. What is the national debt? What is the national debt? What is the national debt today? 35 trillion. Holy shit. That's really bad. I think it was at like 26 trillion when I was back to school 12 years ago. Wow. We've spent a lot of money. Let's see. Where are we at? Low roller scratcher. There you go. So what are some of the best ways to acquire and bulk collect? Networking, number one. Networking, whether it's through trades or it's buying, selling, networking, knowing people, developing relationships, acquiring bulk, whether it's for collecting or reselling purposes. Card shows, number one. And I know some don't have card shows near them. Some, if you live in northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, you have card shows everywhere. And so, and some of those, it's easy to make those relationships. Some it's a little more difficult, but that's where now I turn bulk away a lot. I had a dealer who had an awesome lot, reached out to me while I was overseas, and I was gearing up for, and that deal, had we made a deal, it would have been, he was set up at my show on Saturday. I was picking up the singles club inventory on Sunday. So it's like, I've got this much coming on Sunday. I can't, take in any more inventory, and I'm still sitting on 10,000. Well, less than 10,000 now. I've listed a bunch on eBay, but the 70s cards that I pulled in that estate sale, I've still got the bulk lot that I got from my guy Steve a month ago or so, and still sitting on that. Like that, I haven't even really touched much of that. The small box of Churchman's boxing cards, I listed a few, and I've sold a couple of those. But for the most part, haven't even touched that. So meeting people, card shows is the number one place to do it. And then just having a social media presence. And once you make some deals, then all of a sudden it just seems like the floodgates open. And, you know this guy, and he knows that guy, and he knows a guy, and he knows a guy, and all of a sudden you're in this web, and all of a sudden you've got bulk knocking on your door every day. So just get into that network, start doing deals, and once you buy from somebody, once or twice, it's like, hey, that was easy. If it was an easy deal, do it again, both from your standpoint, from their standpoint, rinse, repeat, and that's kind of the way to do it. That's kind of like, that's just, I think we can dive into what's a good deal, and that's just, you never know. Let's take, for example, the Singles Club. And if you watched the video the other night, did a live run through of what was all in there. And when I go to the Singles Club, by the way, visit the Singles Club booth at the National this week. Tell them I sent you. Tell Chris I said hi. When I go to the Singles Club, there's usually, I think they're in usually 2 or 3 row boxes, but in each box, I may only pull out a couple cards in a box, and somebody else only pulls a couple cards, and somebody else. Now, the typically the best stuff obviously gets pulled out, and that's kind of like the stuff that I bought from them. I knew it wasn't all going to be the best of the best. Like, that's just not how bargain boxes work. It's not going to be 4 row boxes of all $5 cards and $10 cards. There's going to be a lot of duds, and that's what you expect when you're buying in bulk. You're not expecting, and that's why bulk pricing is so low. You're not getting, say, for example, speaking of volume pricing, my dollar boxes, typically I'm cherry picking my dollar boxes, and my dollar boxes are usually really good because right now I'm cherry picking, and I'm not really, my quarter boxes, there's some duds in there. So I have that flexibility to give deeper discounts. But my dollar boxes, I'm not willing to really do. If you buy 100 cards, I'll do 75 cents. If you buy 50 cards, maybe 80 cents. If you buy 12 cards, you're going to get a couple for free. It's going to be $10 for 12 cards. So there's not deep discounts on my dollar boxes because it's they're all good cards. They're not really cherry picked. So but when you're dealing in bulk, that's because they're not really in bulk. My dollar box is not much bulk there. You're dealing in bulk, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80,000 quarter cards. There's going to be some duds in there, and you're willing to sell for 10 cents a card in a big bulk deal, or even 5 cents a card. And you got to know what to look for. If you start going through and it's like, okay, like in this particular deal, I'm going through and it's like, okay, a lot of this stuff I can put in dollar boxes, and a lot of this stuff. And once I get to my dollar boxes, and once, I've got 8 cents into these cards, and say I put out 5,000 or 1,000 additional dollar cards, I might be able to offer steeper discounts because it's like, okay, I paid 8 cents for this. If somebody wants to buy 100 instead of 75 cents a card, I can do 50 cents a card because I've got a much lower price point into these cards as some of the others. So that's kind of the ways that I deal with bulk, whether it's on the selling side or on the buying side. And I'm going through these boxes, okay, and I've got my piles. All right, these are probably going to be quarter box cards. These are going to be good eBay cards. The wrestling, it's like, I haven't added much wrestling in my store. So I added the 2018 bronze parallels, and I've sold a few already. 5 or 6 have sold. So those are cards that, and by the way, Card Dealer Pro really, I think, did about 95% accuracy on the WWE cards, including the bronze parallel. Like, it knew they were all bronze parallels. I think it just misidentified 3 or 4 of the 100 plus cards. I think there's 115 that I listed. So had a really good accuracy rate on those wrestling cards. Tyler says, I'm Canadian, so I probably will only be selling cards to Canadians. Yeah, I feel bad for Canada because of the postage rate. And it's just like, I did a couple deals when I was collecting Cubs, and I went to the post office, and it was like $60 for postage. And one of them, the bubble mailer of like 50 cards was $12.50. And this was like 5 years ago. I'm like, I can't do trades to Canada anymore when I'm getting, $4, $3 in cards and I'm paying $12 in shipping. It's just, this is not smart. So I feel bad for Canadian collectors. Kyle says, best way to buy bulk, no bow. There you go. Tyler says, going to be selling hockey cards, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic. Let's see. There you go. This is actually good advice from Low Roller Scratcher. Yeah, and if you don't have a card show, and I'd like to look up flea markets a little more often, or garage sales. Those are places I haven't been. I had some beginner's luck with the estate sale. My first ever estate sale worked out pretty well for me. I'll never have that luck again. Now, we'll never say never, but it's highly unlikely that I'll find a Walter Payton rookie card for $1 ever again. Kyle says there's lots of bulk flat rate boxes on eBay, especially on auction. I've got some excellent deals. Tyler says, how many cards can you ship in one envelope, and what are good bundles to do? I max my, in a plain white envelope, I max it out at around 12 cards. And I do card savers, so I'll put 3 cards per card saver. Obviously that's with, your standard tops card stock. If it's a thicker card, then I don't quite get 12 in, but on standard cards, standard sized cards, I do 12 using 4 card savers, 3 cards per card saver, and charge 3 ounce or send it 3 ounces on ESE. It also depends on value. If those 12 cards are $1.50 cards each or 99-cent cards each, they go ESE 3 ounces. If it's like a $30 transaction, then I'll send it in a bubble mailer. But if they're dollar cards, 12 of them, they go ESE 3 ounces. If it's going to be $20 or more, it'll go bubble mailer. Brian says, Kyle with the other good advice. Kendall's in the house. Good morning. Also Canadian, and I exclusively sell to the U.S. We have services that move packages across borders every night. So in eBay's eyes, I live in Montana, not Alberta. Hey, there you go. So are you on the border? Are you on the Montana border? Are you able to do that? Or do you just have a P.O. box set up in Montana? I like it. And there are services, there's like Ship My Cards. There's multiple services out there that you can send and forward. I'm sure there's an upcharge, it's a service, so you're going to pay service fees. But it might save you on postage costs. Nick says, how do you deal with the I know what they're worth sellers at garage and yard sales? Are they even worth negotiating with? Usually, no. Usually, if they know what they're worth, it's you're too far apart. If it's, I've had, and I deal with this, especially with what I sell at card shows being bargain boxes. So a lot of times people that are not in it like we are, like if you're watching this, you probably are much more well-versed on selling cards and buying cards and the transactions that go with it than your average collector or just weekend warrior that's checking out a card show. So I'll get people coming up to my booth and they see 100,000 cards at 25 cents each, and they're like, wow. And this is also like the myth of, I went to eBay and it said this card is worth $10,000. A 1990 Fleer Jose Uribe. No, it's not. It's listed for $10,000. You can list whatever you want. You can list your coffee mug for $10,000 on eBay. Doesn't mean it's worth $10,000. So they say 100,000 cards at 25 cents. There's $25,000 worth of cards here. Well, you know how many cards are going to sell for 20? Not too many of these 100,000 cards are going to sell for 25 cents. And a lot of these I'm going to drop to a dime, and sell a few more. And then eventually I'm going to sell them for like a tenth of a penny in a bulk deal. So people see this setup and they're like, oh, I've got a whole bunch of this stuff. And either they might see a 91 Fleer Maguire, like, oh, I've got a bunch of 91 Fleer. I'll sell you. I'll give you a deal, 5 cents a card. It's like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. I had a guy at a card show a couple years ago. He said, I've got a whole bunch of unopened wax. Would you be interested? Now, unopened wax, even if it's 91 Fleer, is more liquid than your singles from the junk wax era. And I'm like, I'd be interested, but it just depends on the price. Well, what are you willing to pay? Of course. And I said, well, realistically, those, depending on what it is, they don't sell for too much. So, if it's a 91 Fleer, a 91 Donruss, I'm probably in it for like, I would pay $5 a box for those. Oh, taken aback. They're worth more than that. I'll put them in my closet. Worth more than selling them for $5. And I'm like, that's a good idea because apparently you're not going to get what you think they're worth. And usually that's what I tell people. That guy was a little more animated and upset with my valuation of his precious cargo. But what I say is, realistically, this is what you have. Put them in a closet, stash them away. They probably won't increase in value, but if you have kids, grandkids, a neighbor, maybe sometime down the road, they're going to find more value in it than a monetary value. So yes, I just typically don't negotiate with those people that say, I know what they're worth. Because usually they think they know what they're worth, which is a far cry from what they are actually worth. Kendall lives in Edmonton. There's a drop-off near my place, about $0.25 per ESE. I'll gladly pay it versus standard Canada Post rates. Oh, that's, yeah. If you have accessibility to something like that, absolutely. ComC, I've tried. I just dislike having my money locked into their platform. Tyler doesn't have a card scanner to sell to ComC. So those are some of the tips, tricks on bulk buying, acquiring of bulk. I don't know if those tips covered it. I think Brian had asked. So Brian, if you're still in the chat, if you have anything else that I didn't touch on, let me know. Red Light 34 is in the house. Good morning. So that's about what I had for today. It is going on 8 o'clock. My alarm's going to go off because I've got to give Bisky her meds. We're an hour later today because she had a vet appointment yesterday afternoon, and we were an hour late on her meds. So now we're an hour late on her morning meds. Kendall says, what's been moving for you lately on eBay? Hang on, let me turn my alarm off real quick. I mean, right now, this is not going to be the same. What's moving for me is in this instance is not going to be kind of like what's moving overall. I have listed thousands and thousands of 70 singles, and that's what's moving. Now, does that mean if you go list 50 or 75 or 100 1975 Topps cards, does that mean they're going to move for you? Probably not. It's all about volume. And so I have a volume, a lot of volume sales have come in because of these 70s cards. So people are coming in buying, multiple cards, finishing off sets. So that's what's been moving for me right now. But that's also what I've focused on listing. Just go into my, let's see, waiting shipment. Let's just see what's been moving. So, we want date sold. All right. So latest sales. Yeah. So 70s. So besides 70s, I have seen an increase in Other sports, I just sold a 2016 Goodwin Champions Troy Merritt. He's a golfer. I'm wondering if there's a Olympics relation to that. I sold an Olympics card from 2016 last night. So one of the things I'm going to focus on here over the next couple days is athletes that are in the Olympics. I know the Olympics have started, which I didn't realize. I always think the Olympics start when the opening ceremonies take place. But there was a soccer match yesterday, France and US. So France, there's a goal, like highlight goal, I guess, by a France soccer guy. I got a bunch of soccer colors, so I'm gonna kind of keep my eye on what's going on in the Olympics and start pulling aside. Women's basketball is, I don't have much in my store, so I haven't sold much, but I know that's with the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and there's a lot of players that are really taking fire. In the singles club stuff, there are some women's basketball WNBA cards, so I'm gonna pull some of those aside and list those. So right now I'm still focused on getting all of the 70s stuff listed, because it's I can list it really fast. I can do 1,000 in a couple, like less than 2 hours. So it's just super easy, and it's been liquid. So those are two of my favorite things. Doesn't take any time and makes money, and that's kind of what we go for. But aside from that, yeah, I'm going to be looking at performers in the Olympics, which opening ceremonies Friday night. Let's see, where we at. Let's see, what percentage does eBay take? I think I don't even know I think it's 12.35% for eBay store. I think that's the final value fee for store owners. I think it's 13% for non-store owners. Brian has met Troy. Cool Iowa dude. John, that 70s card show is already fed up with the Nationals. The Washington Nationals. The 70s were kind of a big deal, folks. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. Thanks for bringing up that topic. Kendall says, I'm convinced I need to pivot off the big four sports and try others like WWE, UFC, golf, NASCAR. Yeah, I think that's, and it's basically, I'm trying to follow some of the inventory I've taken in. I did get some other non-sports in that bulk buy from Steve a few weeks ago. So I'm going to go through that here over the next couple days, see what's in there. I know there's a bunch of UFC, and just trying to get some other sports in there as well. Soccer guys in the Olympics are sort of like AA baseball level, but it's that new, if they score a goal in the Olympics, they sell. Let's see. John says, put your keyboard down. You're repeating yourself. No one wants that. There you go. So hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Visit my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Save 25% when you buy 7 or more cards at regular price. Sheena, John, Christian, who else is going to be at the National today? You all enjoy yourselves. Have a great National if you're there. Have a great Thursday if you're not. We'll do this again. Tomorrow's Friday already. It's a free-for-all. We will play Name That Player tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central. See you then.